Nigeria's oil production will be catastrophic for the country. The government earns more than 2/3 of its revenue from oil, and it can't afford to let that happen. Now, the fact that the president is willing to meet union leaders shows that he's under pressure. They have him backed against the corner. He knows that he can't afford to lose the money that oil sector brings for the country, not only for infrastructure services, for development, but also for companies, the private sector. A lot of people rely on the money generated from oil. Now, the other issue, of course, is the longer the strike continues, the fear of violence escalating. We are here in Kano, in the north of the country, and on Thursday, protesters clashed or fought with police. 2 people were shot. One was shot in the leg, the other one is critically injured, still in theatre. That is a big concern for people here. Right now, the foremost thing on the president's mind is trying to end the strike, trying to make sure those in the oil sector don't also join this mass action. Because if they do, and if it continues for a longer period, there is a fear it could cripple the economy.
Thank you for staying with us. That was by kind courtesy of Al Jazeera. The reporter you saw, Haru Mutasa, reporting from Kano, and they're bringing some very topical issues to the table. We'll be discussing them. Let me begin with you, Michael. Can you really summarize for us what is really happening in Nigeria right now?
I think Nigeria is experiencing, is at a crucial stage of what I call national rebirth, and it's quite
national rebirth.
National rebirth. Okay. That's the way I'll put it. It's going through some kind of transformation, as I'll say, because I think this has been long awaited. People have told people this is beyond just this fuel subsidy. It's something much bigger. People have probably waited for this, for an avenue to register their dissatisfaction. So, as you can see, the protest is massive, and every day the numbers, the size is increasing. So, well, in some of the places, you have some hoodlums that have hijacked the protest. So, but when you look at it generally, I think a lot of people have asked me that where is this going to lead us? They don't believe in it and all that, the protest. But I told them that I think I listened to the president's broadcast on the 7th of January, and the first thing is, the cogent thing he said was that he's taking 25% off the expenditures of the political office holders. And that was just even before the first day of the protest. So I think it shows you that the protest is going a long way. Right. And people are still saying that 25 is still small, we want 75 off. Yeah, so, but I think this is another way. If it's not done this way, maybe it can never be done again.
Interesting, but I think that I should ask you an interesting question. I'd like to know what your judgment is of this one. Paul, is Nigeria in turmoil?
Yeah, it is. This revolution.
Is a revolution.
It is.
What would this lead to?
As Michael said, Nigeria is in rebirth. What's happened in the Arab country is a replica. Is a replica of which is happening in Nigeria.
The Arab Spring.
The Arab Spring. So I'll call this African Spring. So we have over 1 million people in Kano protesting. This is equivalent to what happened in Egypt. Close to 1 million or over. Then we have up to like 500,000 people in Lagos. We also have up to like 7 cities in other parts of Nigeria joining in the protest, which occupy Nigeria. So we also have other countries across the world: Belgium, Finland, South Africa, Ghana, US, UK, all over. They are also joining in the protest. So this is...
Yeah, how are these countries joining in the protest?
Yeah, they are trying to like give their support to their brothers in Nigeria, that we heard your plea, that we are also feeling the removal of the oil subsidy. So we are supporting you. We are sending out messages across to Nigeria that we too, we are here in Nigeria and we are supporting you.
Interesting. You were trying to make a point earlier on, Michael, that probably it's not just a question of oil subsidies, that there may be some pent-up emotions relative to other matters which have probably been bottled up for too long and have just found the avenue to come out. What would some of those other issues be?
First of all, in solidarity, like I said, I joined the entire youths, which takes like 70% of the population of Nigeria. And the students with like, with the size, they're like 50 million, over 50 million Nigerian students. They came out with a 4-point demands. And the first thing there is just immediate restoration of the fuel subsidy. So the second one is anti-graft judicial reform. They want the government to take off the immunity that the political office, that is on the political office holder. And the third one is transparency and accountability in governance. Okay. So you can see that it goes beyond just the first. They are making a demand now. They are saying now the demand, okay, the first thing we want you to restore back the first subsidy, and the next one is, in fact, they want 70, they were so specific, they said they want 75% cut off from the enumeration and the expenditures of the political officer. They want 75% off. Now they're asking for
explain that. They want 75% of the remuneration of politicians in Nigeria actually hived off.
Yes.
That politicians in Nigeria should be paid 25% of what they earn currently.
Yes, because even the CBN governor, you know, gave an analysis and told us that, he told us that the NS, that's the National Assembly, they call them NAS, they take 25% of the entire budget of the country. So, which means they are telling us that if the country has like 4 trillion, that's the budget for the year, 4 trillion. Yes. So, which means they are taking 1-point-something trillion.
National Assembly.
Yes. So now, you know, seriously, I think it's very plain.
Parliament.
That's yes. So now the people are saying in the country.
They use that for what? To run as remuneration.
You want me to tell you what they use it for?
Yeah, absolutely. Why not?
Okay, they used to buy jets.
I like the okay part.
Yeah.
Now I can feel the Nigerian dimension.
No, seriously. I was telling one of my friend, why should, a senator is being paid $135,000 US. Obama is being paid $400,000 US. Tell me what
senator in the US in
Nigeria is paid $135,000 US
per annum.
Per month. Per month.
A month?
Yes.
Obama earns 33,333.
Yes, and which makes 400,000.
Yes, yeah. That's what he earns.
So which means in 3 months, a senator earns what Obama can never dream of. So now tell us, now the people are saying that no amount. You've come up with lots of okay, fine. The president said, okay, you see, when we take 80%, when we take we lose $8 billion every year if we don't take away the subsidy. Now, what we are saying is this: we lose 10 times of that in corruption, 10 times of the amount. We lose it in corruption. How come you tell us that if you don't take away the subsidy, that the economy can't, be revived? No. It's not. So what the people are saying is that you are putting the cart before the wheel. On the first day of the year, when we are supposed to be saying Happy New Year, they dropped, you know what they call it? Subsidy haram. I see. So another subsidy haram.
We're talking about Boko Haram.
Yes, another subsidy haram. So what we are saying is this: a country where the minimum wage is 180 cedis per month, that is like 18,000 naira per month. Then a senator is earning $135,000 US in a month.
Wow.
No. I mean, let's look at it together. We don't need an economy to come and convince. So this thing is very clear. So they can't tell us now that what we are saying is this: we want all those exorbitant fee. With all those big lights. The Prime Minister of Britain does not have a private jet. It goes on British Airways first class.
We just want to make it like, if the office holder, if it's not attractive to the public. Yeah, the people that will come to protest, they are the people who are really passionate.
The passionate ones.
About doing the job. If you make it less attractive, I mean, I'm going there, I'm earning close to what a permanent secretary.
A senator
in
Nigeria.
Yeah, a senator in Nigeria.
Earns $135,000 US a month.
That one is just.
Whereas a Chinese president is earning $11,000 per year.
Right.
$11,000 per year. Chinese president, they are 1.3 billion. Nigeria is over 160.
And you are telling us,
compare the population.
And you are telling us to sacrifice. Sacrifice what?
So these are the real underlying issues. They've been waiting. And then the government,
it's more than removal of subsidy.
The government
really is more than that.
Subsidy bit.
It's more than subsidy.
And then all of a sudden, things take a different turn.
Yes.
Petroleum and Natural Gas Senior Staff Association also reported to have issued a directive to all oil production platforms to be on red alert in preparation for total production shuts down at midnight. That is on Sunday, so that come Monday next week, actually the whole nation will come to a standstill. It is a country of 160 million or so. That's a huge number. I'm just looking at the words of the Nigerian national anthem, and we've heard it quite a bit. Arise, O compatriots, Nigeria's call obey, to serve our fatherland with love and strength and faith. The labor of our heroes past shall never be in vain. To serve with heart and might, one nation bound in freedom, peace and unity. I actually know how to sing it because, you know, before the football games, they play it. Before we beat them, they play it every time.
You still come in there.
You know, but really, the president is billed to meet with union workers.
Yeah.
Paul, do you think it will lead to anything good?
Oh, it will. It will. Because we can't afford losing 330 billion naira every day. So it will. It will.
320 billion naira?
Every day.
How much would that amount to in dollars?
In dollars.
Or in Ghana cedis? Because I think you said 18,000 is what? About 180 Ghana cedis?
Yes.
Is that what you said?
Yes.
18,000. You just take 2 zeros off. I see. So like 3.2 billion Ghana cedis.
320 billion naira should be like 24.
Yeah, dollars is
24
20
billion.
because about 3.2 billion
Like
Ghana
still
cedis.
going to dollars. Yeah. Yeah.
So 2 point something. 2 point something billion dollars. That's still a lot.
Yes,
And it's daily.
Yeah, daily.
Daily. I see. But how do you expect this meeting to go? Do you think that the president will have a position based on the withdrawal? And the workers also saying, no, we don't want it. How do you expect that this will lead to something good?
Based on what is going on right now, people are protesting all over the world. People in Nigeria, they are saying enough is enough. So the president, for now, have no choice than to return it back to 65 naira because people are dying. People are dying of starvation. Markets are not opening. How will they eat? Right. So the president has no choice than to come back to the 65 naira.
Interesting. Let's go to the telephone lines right now and speak to Dr. Niyi Alabi, International Relations Expert, Communications Consultant. Good evening to you, Doc.
Good evening.
Thank you very much for joining us. We heard that you were unable to make the trip all the way to Cape Coast on time at 9, but we are very grateful that you still decided to speak to us. Doc, what will be your general overview of the situation in Nigeria? I will be looking at it on two fronts, but the first one basically about the removal of the subsidies on petroleum products.
Well, thank you very much, Nee. I think the issue of the removal has been a recurrent issue facing almost every government that has been in Nigeria. It is the political will to really give effect to it which has been lacking. And I would think that President Jonathan wanted to take the bulls by the horn by saying, this time around we're not going to gloat over it. We will let it happen and see actually the benefits and even the social reactions from the people. But I would also say that there has been some amount of miscalculation because if reports coming from certain members of government is anything to go by, they are worried that the Nigerian economy cannot actually absorb this kind of removal of subsidy. Intention of, as they claim, saving 1.3 trillion naira a year. You see, there are skeptics who think that that money will go to the pocket of the so-called corrupt politicians. That is what everybody is saying. There isn't any evidence, but if the history of corruption in Nigeria is anything to go by, one is also tempted to see that, yes, these skeptics who are pouring to the street to say that this is unnecessary for a petroleum-producing country. So, you see, it is something which, to economists, and is a necessity, but which is also not, I'm sure, being handled very well. I don't think, from my perspective, that this is the best time to, as it were, to remove